Now first I'm going to start by removing the cotter pin. Now I'm going to remove the locking nut, spring washer, the axle nut, now the washer. Now I'm going to take a breaker bar and loosen up the two mounting bolts for the caliper. Now I'm going to take me a screwdriver and get between the pads to push the caliper piston back. That gives a little more opening for the caliper to slide off. Now I want to hang the caliper because I don't want the brake hose to be stretched or damaged. Pull the rotor, remove the outer tie rod end nut, and take a couple of good hard hits on the spindle. Separate the tie rod from the spindle. Next, I want to go ahead and remove the lower ball joint nut and then apply a little pressure downward on the lower control arm to slide the bolt out. Now it's important to hold the bolt and loosen the nut side on these strut mount bolts. Now I'm going to work the spindle back and forth and slide it up off the lower ball joint. Now because of the way the spindle is designed in the hub, I'm going to go ahead and take a slide hammer and pull the hub off. Now I want to mark the bearing retaining cap orientation for reinstallation. Now I'm going to remove the 3 bolts and remove the retaining cap. Now I'm going to move to the press and I'm going to make sure that the cup is bigger than the bearing and press down or outward on it. Now I want to flip it over and make sure that the cap is bigger than the opening on the spindle. Then I'm just going to take and place my bearing and make sure that this cap is the same size as the outer race. Here I'm going to check and make sure that the bearing is fully seated and it looks good there. Now I'm going to reinstall my bearing retainer, making sure my marks and orientation is the same. Now if you look at this bolt, you can see it's got Loctite on it, so I just leave it like it is. Now I can take and turn my attention to the hub and remove the inner race, paying close attention not to cut into the hub, where I can take my cold chisel and a couple of good blows and crack the inner race. Now once it cracks, it's pretty easy to slide off, and then I'm going to check and make sure I didn't cut into it, but it's in good shape. Now when I get ready to reinstall it, I want to make sure that I push on the inner race and not the outer race or the spindle itself. Now I can take and head back to the press and take and press the hub back onto the inner race. Now I'm ready to reinstall it on the car. I first start out and I'll line her up with a lower ball joint stud, and then with a little help from my neighbor I line up the splines with the hub. Now I'm going to move to the strut, and on the lower bolt I'm going to take a screwdriver here and help line up the bolt hole, and then I'm going to work it through. Once I get it started, then I can take and once I get it started, I can take and push on the upper part and install the upper bolt. Now you can only push it in so far because of the splines. Now I'm going to move down here and line up. There's a little cutout inside the lower ball joint stud, and then I'm going to take and tighten the upper bolts on the strut. Remember to hold the bolt side. Now I'm going to tighten the bolt on my lower ball joint. Now I'm going to put in my thick washer, my nut, tighten the nut. Then I'm going to put the spring washer on there, then the retainer nut, And then last, I'm going to move and install my cotter pin and tighten it up, make sure that it's not sticking out. Now I'm going to install outer tie rod, tighten the nut up on it. Now it's time for the rotor, caliper, 2 bolts holding the caliper. I want to take and torque them. Now I'd like to thank you for watching. My name is James Noble. I hope to see you again.